already know that he has speed, he's got power. I know he's moving up in weight class, can he carry it? You know, but those intangibles, I believe that he has them.
Look at, and then Canelo's older. Crawford has the ability, but he's small, you know, and he can look bigger in. Crawford could look bigger in the weigh-ins and all that stuff, but it's always a difference. When you get in that fight with somebody, you can tell. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel fought him, the twin. He fought Crawford, and in all the stuff, the weigh-ins and the press conference.
Too fast and too smart for Canelo. Even Canelo's a good boy. I'm not saying like nothing from not taking nothing from
Canelo versus Crawford is being billed as the biggest fight of the year, and Teddy Atlas has shared his straightforward take. He believes Terence Crawford has everything needed to win, no matter the weight class. Atlas highlights Crawford's skill, discipline, and ability to adjust in any situation. On the other hand, he says Canelo Alvarez is no longer the fighter he once was, suggesting the Mexican star has lost the hunger and determination that built his legacy. Pointing to recent performances, Atlas argues Canelo has declined and even calls him overrated compared to Crawford. In his view, Crawford's sharp focus and determination make him the clear favorite.
That the urgency's not there, the fire's not there. At least it wasn't there a week ago. At least I'd say that. It wasn't there a week ago. Maybe it'll be there now. Maybe he's the kind of guy that, and I get it, that at this point in their career, it has to be a big fight to get up. That Canelo can't get up for these fights. He couldn't get up for that fight. All right. If you want to go down that road, go ahead. But my road is still possible. That he got old, that it just doesn't have that fire no more. Oh my God, I'm going to say this one. That maybe he's a little overrated. I listen, I know he's tremendous. He's tremendous. But could he be a tiny bit overrated? If you look at some of his biggest fights, the fights where you had to be great to win, that you fought great fighters or near great fighters. You know, you can make the argument that he lost the first Triple G. You know, he didn't embarrass himself, but he got a draw. Second one, you can make the argument he lost that. I know it was a different kind of fight, and he got better. But you can make that. You can make the argument he lost to Lara. He did lose to Mayweather. You can make the argument he was too young in his career. Maybe. Although it wasn't that young. He turned pro when he was 15 or 16.
Mean Machine, who has faced Terence Crawford in the ring, firmly believes that size will not decide the outcome of Crawford's fight with Canelo Alvarez. He argues that Crawford's skills and ring intelligence are on another level, making him too smart for Canelo. In his view, the difference in weight and natural size cannot match Crawford's IQ, adaptability, and timing. Mean calls Crawford one of the most calculated fighters of his era, capable of adjusting mid-fight and breaking down opponents regardless of their physical edge. He says Crawford can dictate pace, distance, and rhythm, factors often more important than size. For him, the edge clearly goes to the fighter with sharper tools, and that fighter is Terence Crawford.
No, it's not good for Crawford. Canelo's too big. Right now, my position changed. I think Crawford is
Mean Machine compares the upcoming Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez fight to Canelo's 2013 clash with Floyd Mayweather. Back then, Canelo was younger and less experienced, and Mayweather outclassed him with speed, defense, and ring control. Mean Machine believes Crawford can use a similar approach with movement, accuracy, and smart counters to neutralize Canelo's biggest strengths. Still, he points out an important difference. Canelo now has far more experience. Over the years, he has faced top-level opponents, learned to adapt, and gained patience that he lacked against Mayweather.
Throw hard, but they don't. They just throw, and he throws like his calculation for the punches and like timing and aiming to the right spots is just like on another level.
Do you think that's going to be the thing that complicates the fight the most for Canelo?
I think so, yeah. And like, yeah, we can go back a little bit to Mayweather, Canelo, and Canelo. Yeah, Canelo was young and like Mayweather smart, but it can be like familiar fight like that. Even Canelo right now have more experience, and Crawford is still on his prime. So yeah, we'll see.
From just your experience, you knowing boxing, like how do you think the fight will play out? Do you think it'll be a slow fight? Do you think it'll be tactical? Like, do you think Crawford?
I think it's gonna start a little bit slowly. They're gonna be careful with each other just to kind of like measure each other and see where they at. And like they're like that's why like they're like champs and they're like great ones. They just don't go like crazy like from the first round.
Regis Prograis offers a different perspective. The former world champion doubts that Crawford's punches will trouble a naturally bigger, granite-chin fighter like Canelo Alvarez. He points out that Canelo has taken shots from some of boxing's hardest hitters, fighters larger than Crawford, and has remained nearly unshaken. Still, Prograis doesn't completely rule Crawford out. While he questions the effect of Crawford's power, he recognizes the Nebraska star's ability to win through skill, strategy, and determination. In his view, Crawford's world-class technique, stance switching, and flawless execution make him a serious threat even against someone as tough as Canelo.
I think that Crawford has the ability to outbox Canelo. You got to look at it. And then Canelo's older. Crawford has the ability, but he's small, and he can look bigger Crawford could look bigger in the weigh-ins and all that stuff, but it's always a difference. When you get in that fight with somebody, you can tell. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel fought him, the twin. He fought Crawford, and in all the stuff, the weigh-ins and the press conference, Jamel looked like the bigger man. His head, his neck, everything looked bigger. But when they got in the fight, you can tell. You can see who really was the bigger man. And I think that's the same thing. Crawford is putting on weight, but it's not weight. Like Canelo had the weight already. He doesn't have to put on muscle. He doesn't have to do that. He's already big like that. But I think that Crawford does have the style. He does have the style to beat him. If you look at the people that beat him or gave him troubles, Irislan, De Lara, Austin Trout, Floyd, and Bivol, they gave him trouble and stuff like that. And Skull moved around a little bit too. So I think that Crawford has that. But I don't know how Crawford is going to respond when he gets hit. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel was undisputed at 154, and Canelo hit him and shit. Jamel was like, hell no. Jamel took a knee, So it's a big difference. And Crawford had that one fight at 154, and he didn't, Madrimov would touch him up a little bit. And this is nowhere close to Madrimov. You talk about Canelo. Now, if it was just another bigger guy, I would go with Crawford. But you talk about this might be, people might kill me for a bit there. Well, not really, but this might be the best Mexican fighter ever. One of them, at least, right?
Jose Vargas Jr., who has sparred with Terence Crawford, echoes Regis Prograis skepticism. He openly says he doesn't believe Crawford can hurt Canelo, having experienced his punches firsthand in sparring. Vargas admits Crawford is sharp and accurate, but not heavy-handed enough to seriously trouble a fighter with Canelo's size and durability. He points out that Alvarez has already taken the power of much larger opponents and survived, which raises doubts about Crawford's ability to pose the same threat. Even so, Vargas doesn't rule him out. He acknowledges that timing, accuracy, and consistency can wear down even the toughest fighters. Still, in his eyes, Crawford's punches may not carry enough force to stop Canelo from applying constant pressure.
Gonna be done in camp.
All we're doing is putting the final touches. I've been sparring Ron Ellis. This guy is a dog, bro. He's been getting me ready. He's been Canelo's sparring partner. Shout out to my guy Ron, man. He tries to knock me out every single sparring. This guy fights at 68.
big dude, goes southpaw, and hits hard. So I know he fought Benavidez. So you know, he's a veteran, and he's doing veteran tactics in there where he's not letting me rest in the clinch. He's making me work every second of every round. And I got something for Callum. I got something for the whole boxing world. And you know, I feel you're just as good as your preparation. And we've been doing the road work. We've been doing the mountain work. I've been recovering hard. I've been getting my rest. You know, I haven't been drinking no dark sodas, bro. I'm feeling like Tyson Fury right now, bro. Like
Mickey Bay takes a more controversial view, accusing Canelo Alvarez of cherry-picking by agreeing to fight Terence Crawford. Bay argues that Alvarez has often been selective with his opponents, choosing the right timing or size advantage. In this case, he believes Canelo targeted Crawford as a smaller fighter moving up in weight, giving himself a physical edge. Many critics in boxing share this opinion, suggesting Alvarez is using his size and strength to gain an advantage over a naturally lighter opponent. Bay notes that this perception has sparked backlash among fans and analysts over whether the fight is truly fair. Still, he admits Crawford is too skilled to be counted out. Even if Canelo enters as the bigger man, Crawford's intelligence and adaptability could turn the tables.
That size comparison type of a thing to make it seem like it's not a type of cherry pick that he has to go up into this battle.
No, he a lot bigger. See, people looking at height. Height don't got nothing to do with weight and where you've been fighting at. Like, Terence put his weight on, so it's a difference. No, Canelo's a lot bigger, like, hands down. Like, just mass, as far as mass. He naturally that thick. You know, he got to come down. Terence, just because your weight is up there, that don't mean that's like putting a dude Benavidez as a heavyweight. He might walk around at 205 or whatever. That don't mean he a heavyweight though. So Canelo is by far the bigger man. We didn't seen him hit dudes 6'3", 6'2" in the arm and hurt him. Like, he didn't hurt Kovalev, light heavyweight. So I mean, didn't he have a light heavyweight title?
Well, when he fought Kovalev?
Just period at light heavyweight. Didn't Canelo win the light? Did he?
Nah, he just Kovalev. That's it.
Oh, okay. Well, he might have only fought there a couple times, but the fact that he fought up there though, and he fought way up in light heavyweight, but he been at super middleweight for a minute, so he the bigger guy for sure. So really, he got to hurt Crawford, or he got to get his major respect. He got to get his major respect to make Crawford feel like he got to survive. If he can't that, then he probably ain't gonna win.
Do you feel like you was talking about Crawford? He needs to poke his way out of this fight, right? We've seen that. You know, Crawford's been lined up by lots of fighters. Not Errol Spence, of course, but other fighters that was able to line up with shots that don't necessarily hit like a Canelo. Now, Canelo gonna line you up regardless, right?
Tom Loeffler offers a different angle, focusing less on fairness and more on the spectacle of Canelo versus Crawford. As a promoter, he views this as one of the most marketable fights in modern boxing. He points out that both Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford are among the sport's biggest stars, each backed by loyal fan bases that stretch across cultures, nations, and demographics. Loeffler explains that matchups of this scale go beyond the ring, capturing mainstream attention and attracting casual viewers who might not normally tune into boxing.
Actually being in the ring on such a high-profile show, it's huge. It doesn't get any bigger than that, and you know, you got to give credit to both guys. They're both very confident. They both have very passionate fan bases. You know, Callum, you know, having fought in Dublin, packed the arena out there, the 3 Arena, having fought at Madison Square Garden 3 times, fought in Boston. And then Fernando Jr., you know, from one of the biggest boxing named families, you know, in the history of boxing, he's going to bring out a huge fan base. So it's a really exciting addition to, you know, such a big show that like I said, doesn't get any bigger than that for sure.
I agree. I think that you, along with me, have seen some of these criticisms of the undercard. But really, when you look at it, I mean, we both know Callum Walsh so well. The personality and the authenticity that he brings to this sport is just so sincere. He's so real, you know, being from Ireland, coming overseas to train and dedicate his life to this craft. And his personality is so magnetic that it obviously brought someone like Dana White to be a huge supporter of him. I think in these weeks leading up to the fight, you know, the fighting public who does not know Callum Walsh is really going to fall in love with him, especially, you know, by fight night.
Saudi boxing power broker Turki Al-Sheikh is credited as the driving force behind making Canelo versus Crawford a reality. Analysts note that while his influence and financial backing have delivered dream fights, not all of them are necessarily the most competitive matchups. In this case, critics point to the major size difference, arguing that Crawford could be at a disadvantage from the start. They suggest the fight was created more for spectacle and demand than for balance. Still, Al-Sheikh's role is undeniable. Without him, this matchup likely wouldn't exist. His ability to unite two of boxing's biggest stars shows the extent of his power in shaping today's sport. Right or wrong, his vision has ensured fans worldwide will witness a once-in-a-generation event.
Benavidez Jr., Canelo, you know, would have mopped up all of these dudes, bro. Would have mopped up all of these dudes. Like, you know, when we're coming out and saying that this is a complete mismatch and this is a joke and this is a fantasy fight, you know what I'm saying, that Turki Al-Sheikh dreamed of, and we know he's a big Crawford fan, knowing, you know, the level of star power that Canelo Alvarez has, and he had the bag to make this fight happen. It doesn't mean that it's a logical fight for boxing, bro. At the end of the day, man, you know, you guys tell me if Terence Crawford would have beat Triple G. Tell me if he would have beat Billy Joe Saunders. Tell me if he could beat Bivol, even though, yeah, Canelo didn't beat Bivol, but tell me if he could have beat a Sergey Kovalev. And the other loss Canelo has to Mayweather, man. Crawford, you know, nobody in the world, I felt, could have beat Mayweather in the height of his career, bro. Tell me if Crawford, bro, would have just flat out went in there and beat a guy like Miguel Cotto, Daniel Jacobs. You know what I'm saying, bro? Like, it's the level of competition that Canelo faced, man. And these dudes that he went in there to beat. You know, Terence Crawford is nowhere, you know, has fought nowhere near the level of competition that Canelo Alvarez has fought. And I've had some comments talking about, you know, you talk about we're going off of our emotions and you're going off of your emotions. You're not giving no facts, bro. Like, this is all facts right here, bro. The fact of the matter is, bro, Canelo Alvarez has fought at light heavyweight. The fact of the matter is, Terence Crawford has only fought once at 154 pounds. And the fact of the matter is, he was getting touched up by those right hands all night, bro. By Madrimov. That's the fact, bro. The biggest, most dominating fight he ever had was against Errol Spence.
Trainer Dave Coldwell has long praised Terence Crawford's versatility, and he believes it will be key against Canelo Alvarez. Crawford's ability to switch seamlessly between orthodox and southpaw gives him an advantage few fighters have. Coldwell notes that Crawford uses this skill to create angles, break rhythm, and keep opponents uncertain. He also highlights Crawford's footwork, which lets him move in and out of range and avoid getting trapped. Against Canelo, who excels at cutting off the ring and applying pressure, this mobility could be crucial. Coldwell says if Crawford can control distance, use lateral movement, and stay off the ropes, he can win rounds and possibly the fight. For him, the outcome depends less on power and more on discipline.
From when the fight got made, I've always fancied Crawford. I just think it's different. I think there's something about him. I think if you add what Crawford's good at, his brain, he can switch, he's very good as a southpaw. His judgment of distance is fantastic. His punch picking is fantastic. He's got good legs. When you add what, and he can pop. I mean, listen, he might. I'm not saying he's got the power to hurt Canelo, but he might have the power to surprise Canelo a little bit and just sting him and just. But when you look at what Crawford does well, and then I look at this version of Canelo, as Canelo's got on, his punch rate's gone down.
That's all for today's video. Stay tuned for more, and see you next time.